Good evening, everybody. I am very excited to speak with these two gentlemen. Tonight we have with us Jack Amos and Joe Robertson. These two local boys from not quite originally from Victoria. One of them is, and they can tell you their story, but they're current residents of Victoria. They were in the news recently for having driven all the way down from Port Hardy in a van, fundraising along the way to raise money for the local nonprofit, the One Up Single Parent Resource Center, which is here in Victoria as well. So here with us this evening to tell us all about this amazing endeavor are Jack and Joe. Welcome, Jack and Joe.
Hey, Adrian.
So where to start? I mean, tell us about your guys. Tell us about yourselves. Who are you guys?
I'm Jack Amos, and I'm from the Yukon. I'm a part-time, seasonal exploration field technician, and then I just currently spending my winters writing and trying to do, continuing to challenge oneself. So, I'm living in Victoria right now. Did the last 2 years of high school there, and I just wanted to get more, so I came down here for the winter.
Yeah, and I'm Joe Robertson. I was born in Halifax, lived in Manitoba for a couple years, then I moved here. My dad's in the military, so we moved around a bit. And I love running. And in the future, I'm looking to go into carpentry, go into trades, and just working right now. And
Great. Wow. So pretty well-rounded, I would say. I've heard carpentry, trades, the Yukon. So how old are you guys, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I'm 19 years old.
Yeah, I'm 19 as well. We're both 19.
I'm almost 20 though.
Almost 20, hey?
20 days. 20 days.
All right.
Yeah.
The big 2-0.
Oh yeah.
So because I read in the newspaper that you guys are. Did you just graduate from Oak Bay High School, or are you currently students?
No. So we graduated in 2019. So it would have been last year now, I guess.
Last year, okay. So what did you? So you graduated in, let's say, June 2019. So what have you done since? What have you been doing since then?
Oh man, it's been a journey, man. I actually can't believe it's only been a year, year and a half now, I guess. I don't know about Joe, but it just felt like it's taken forever. I graduated high school and went back up to the Yukon for a bit. I continued running. I actually went to University of Guelph for a brief period, kind of like a 6-month, 7-month period where I was studying English and trying to run competitively. But I ended up getting injured and just kind of being like, you know what? Writing academically isn't that much fun after all. And so I left school, and then I moved back to Victoria, where I actually reconnected with Joe and was living in his basement for a little while. And then I actually flew to Iceland at the end of February, I guess, and I walked from the north of south to the south of Iceland. And then that was when COVID happened, so I got flown back to the Yukon, and then I kind of worked all summer in this exploration job, which was really cool. And and then I just ran the island with Joe. So it's been a big year.
Wow.
Yeah, and as for me, I graduated, applied to the military right away. And it took a long time to get in, so I was working at a shoe store all the way till January of 2020. Then I was a mover for a month. Then finally the military phoned me up and brought me out to basic training in Quebec. And I was there for 2 weeks, and then the school shut down, so I was sent home. So it was a short-lived experience out there. And then I was here, and I wasn't allowed to get a second job or anything like that. So I was pretty restless, and that's when I came up with the idea to run the island. And I phoned Jack up during that time and got things going. That summer, I went up to the Yukon for a bit, worked there, came down, and got this project going.
Wow. So I've heard running now from both of you, and I believe the article I read in the Saanich News talked about you both are runners. Are you cross country runners or long distance?
I kind of specialize more long distance. Joe
more of an 800 meter guy myself. 800, 1500. Yeah, so a little shorter than Jack.
Yeah, but I'm actually not competitive running anymore. I kind of gave that up. Well, I don't know. I'm currently on like a hiatus, indefinite hiatus, I guess, from competitive running. I that kind of when I left school.
Did you go to University of Guelph on scholarship for running?
Not. I was on an academic scholarship,
okay.
not on athletic though. Yeah, it was. It's very hard to get an athletic scholarship in Canada.
It is, hey. Yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, and I think the most you can get is like 7,000 as well. Like that's the max.
Wow.
But like, yeah, it's very, very hard to get anything that's substantial.
Yeah, 7,000. That's about a year's tuition, I think.
It's like a semester's.
Wow. Jeez. So yeah, because I went to university in 2005. So what is that?
Gee.
Okay. I graduated in like 2010, 2011. So It's not too long ago, but it was.
Damn! You went through you did it through the crash.
Yeah, I did. Which, you know what? It's funny because it's all relative, right? I think I was like in my early 20s at the time, and it just really didn't faze me. I didn't know much about it. I didn't own a property or anything, didn't run a business. So it just sort of went over my head. And yeah. So, but, and then you guys are going through the pandemic. And then, so yeah, it's just. So, yeah.
Yeah, not going to lie, I'm feeling the pandemic a bit, though, Adrian.
Yeah. It's hard at this age, hey? You guys are like in the prime of your lives, man. It's the best time for traveling, meeting people, getting out.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but hey, everyone's having a rough go, so who am I to complain?
Well, and you guys made something good out of it. I mean, as much as I want to ask you, maybe we can come back to some of those pieces, some other questions. But so how did you get from sort of just, being sent back from basic training, and also coming back from Iceland prematurely and having to go to the Yukon to, I don't know, quarantine or whatever you had to do in that time. How do you get from sort of there, everything's on hiatus, to deciding to raise money for the One Up Single Parent Resource Center?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, Jack, you want to go or you want me to go?
Yeah, I can go for a sec. Sorry, I feel like I've been talking a lot. But yeah, no, I mean, for me, I think it was just like two things. I was, like you were saying, Iceland. I finished the goal like while I was there, so I was okay with leaving it prematurely. But at the same time, that was like 2 weeks that I missed, in a foreign country. That's it. Going from that to having a quarantine in a suburban duplex with your mom and your sister for 2 weeks. That's just, I don't know. It's I don't know. It kind of made me a bit restless, to be honest. And then and then kind of being stuck in the Yukon. Like all I wanted all summer was to get down to Victoria. That was like my one goal, kind of ever since getting called back from Iceland. And then I was just so restless. And then Joe presented me with this opportunity. Which was really thankful for it despite everything. And then so I was like, you know what, it sounds awesome. Like, let's do it. This was, of course, after I came around to the idea of doing so. But yeah, and then with that, it was kind of the notion of with such a big project, we could bring others, we could bring help and support to others who are suffering we're not suffering but struggling. In a very uncertain time. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just amazed. I'm blown away. It's such a great thing you guys are doing. One question that sticks out for me is how did you end up at Oak Bay High School, Jack? If you were living in the Yukon, say originally, like did you go to elementary school in the Yukon and then you came down for high school?
No, I was actually I was homeschooled up until around grade 8. And then I ended up getting I started running, so I was a competitive runner all throughout high school, and then in grade 11 I moved down to Victoria where I met Joe. So I could train. So I could train and compete with a competitive team, I guess.
Okay, so and Oak Bay High School in particular is a school where you go to do running here.
Yeah, Oak Bay's a great running school, but Jack and I also trained outside of school with the Prairie and Harriers. We were coached under Bruce Deacon. He's a 2-time Olympic marathoner, and it was a really competitive team, and I guess Jack saw that And he thought it was a great team. He competed against, I guess, a couple of guys, and came down and started running with us.
Yeah, no, that's actually why I moved down there for the club team, the Prairie and Harriers. I wanted to train with Joe. I wanted to train, under Bruce. And so the school was less important for me, but Oak Bay was definitely my priority. That was number one.
Do you have family here, Jack? You been staying with family when you went to school here, or?
I do. I have my grandmother lives out in Sydney. So that's really nice having her here. I'm actually out at her place right now. But no, when I was in Victoria, I spent the first maybe 3/4 of the year renting a room out in an apartment.
Wow.
In kind of near Gonzales, and then that was a really weird situation. So I moved into the basement of a teammate's family. Wow. So that was nice.
Yeah, no, it's just at that age, it's almost like billeting. We hear about, WHL hockey players, going to live with, with other families and stuff at 16, but it's pretty young to be sort of, coming, because we're a big country, right? All the way from the Yukon down to Victoria at 16 or whatever. It's, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a huge change, but honestly, it's one that I wouldn't trade for the world. It was such a brilliant opportunity, and I met Joe out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, you guys sound like you've really formed a tight bond over the years here, and so I'm curious. Did you talk after high school, like before COVID hit, about your plans for the next few years? Like, were you planning to sort of meet up again in Victoria, or because Jack, you were off to Iceland, and Joe, you were going into the military?
Honestly, COVID brought us back together, I'd say. I thought Jack was going to stay at Guelph and do his full 4 years there, and I thought I was going to complete basic training and start my contract.
Wow.
And then COVID hit, and things slowed down, and we reconnected, and that's when I went up to the Yukon, and we saw each other again. And, we just kind of came back together because of COVID, I'd say.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, that's a plot twist for sure, and I mean,
definitely.
And we all have these stories, in our own histories and in the histories of our families. Like, if our grandfather hadn't got on that boat or hadn't been sick and missed that flight or whatever, just would have gone here, done that, done this, and so this is how life turns out. Interesting. This is really cool, and you guys are
sure.
are living that. So One Up Single Parent Resource Center, one of the things that stuck out for me in the article was that you guys felt compelled to raise money for that organization in particular because you both come from single parent households.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and I think for a while there we were kind of debating. I think, I was advocating for there was a Scottish youth mental health organization, which I thought would be super cool. But then Joe found One Up, the organization, and that was kind of when I was like, oh yeah, no, this is super cool. Let's do this.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I can see in your guys' future probably raising, picking a different charity for the next time you guys do a fundraiser, and yeah. I don't think you guys are done yet. So.
No, definitely. No, we got more projects, AJ.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah,
it's looking like that way.
Makes life interesting. So yeah, because I come from a single parent household as well. Well, I was raised by a single mom, so that really struck me, and it was just like, wow, here you got, you have, two young guys, out there doing this, and $12,000, like that's a significant sum.
Yeah, we're ecstatic. Our goal was $10,000, and we hit over 10,000 when we were in Nanaimo. So
wow.
About a quarter of the way left, and I put a post up on my Instagram, and people kept donating, and it was amazing. We just surpassed that goal by a load.
Wow. So you started, so just for everyone listening here, where did you guys start? And you started tell us sort of what kind of vehicle and where you started, and tell us all about it.
Yeah, for sure, Jack. You want to explain the vehicle? It's Jack's van. So.
Hey, sorry guys. I actually just cut out for that last 20 seconds.
All good.
I can. Sorry. What was the question?
So
my phone did something weird. I'm actually just gonna plug it in right now.
Or Joe, how about you relay it to him?
Yeah, for sure. So how did our journey really go? Like, what was the vehicle like? Where did we start? That sort of thing.
Okay, yeah. I get that. Okay, so the vehicle, yeah. Oh, that's a good story. So, okay, yeah. So basically, it starts with the story of the van starts with this, and I apologize because it is a bit of a longer tale, but
we want to hear it.
I was okay. So, before my parents split, which was in 2014, it's probably like the spring of 2012 and the spring of 2013. I lived pretty much like all summer, and sorry, I live off the grid up in the Yukon, right in Dawson. So we live off the grid, and we're separated from the town by a river, and so during winter, this river freezes, and so we can get our supplies. But during the summer, it melts, and there's a ferry, right? So we can get our supplies. But in between that, in the springtime and then in the fall, the river has to freeze, and then it has to melt. And so during that limbo, you can't cross it. And so historically, as a kid, I always spent the falls and springs on the west side. It was called the west side of Dawson, West Dawson, and we would all. It was a huge event. We'd all go down to the river and watch it break and hold campfires. And anyway, but as I grew up and as my parents, kind of grew apart, my mom started working, so then she had to spend time on the east side. So then she actually bought a camper van from Victoria and drove it up one year, and it was a 1981 Dodge camper van. And she wrote in her letter to me, when she left me and my sister a note. She was like, "Dear Jack and Jesse, I'm going to pick up our hippie van." But she has really messy handwriting, so I read it as Pippi. I thought she had already named I thought she named the van Pippi. And so basically, kind of throughout that time of my youth, we spent springtimes and the summer in Pippi. Like my family of 5, my mom, my dad, the dog, the cat, me and my sister, all in this 1981. And it was a B150, which is like significantly smaller than the type I have now. Is a B150 van. If that led to my parents' divorce or not, who knows? But but all I know is it's very cementing for me. I was just like, man, I freaking love these vehicles. And so I ended up actually buying Pippi off of my mom this spring, and it was it was a dream come true. I was living in it in Dawson. But then it blew a piston head, so it broke down. I ended up selling it back to my mother, and then I was on the lookout for a new van. And then this is when, and then I found one in Dawson, and it was a 1984 B350 Dodge camper van.
Wow!
And I was like, heck yeah, it's bigger. I told Joe, I was like, Joe, let's buy this. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So then So we bought this van, and it was great. And then Joe came up for the summer, and then we ended up buying another van. And then Joe drove. But that was a Chevy. We don't pay attention to that. He hopped to the Chevy, and Joe drove down, and then I was driving the B350 van down, and I just south of Whitehorse. Kind of, like really southern Yukon. A tire flew off of the cargo loader of a semi-truck and destroyed my radiator.
Wow.
And so that kind of left me in limbo without a home and a vehicle, which was frustrating. And so I flew down to BC, and then I was like, well, I already bought 3. Why not add a 5th to the pile? So then I found this van. It was red 1983 Dodge camper van.
Wow.
And it was a B250. So it was kind of like in between.
Yeah.
And so that was it was
Long story with the vehicle.
Yeah, sorry for talking your ear off.
No, I'm enjoying this. This is neat. I'm writing these down too. This is good. I'll look them up after.
And one more thing that's actually kind of funny was I went to I went to visit the vehicle, and there's this he was a rock climbing instructor, Khaled, super cool guy. Anyway, and then I go to pick up. I go to his house to buy the vehicle, but we have to drive to the insurance place, to get it insured.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I show up, and he has the second van running. He's like, "Okay, great. You want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then he's like, "Okay, but do you mind driving? I don't have a license."
Huh.
I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So then I drove him. We went to the place. They rejected all of my documents because they're from the Yukon. So I had to drive back. But Khaled had something to do, so he just lent me his personal vehicle for the morning. Well, I drove around and had to get my right documents and go get my van insured.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was really kind and trusting of him.
Yeah, I'll say, wow.
Yeah. And after we got the vehicle all set up, we headed up to Port Hardy on the 14th of November. We got up there. It was pouring rain and stormy. And I remember we got up there and we went out for dinner that night. And Jack and I just looked at each other. And we just drove all the way up from Victoria. We gotta run this whole way back now.
Wow.
Look at that. I just remember sitting in the back of the van, just watching the road go by for hours and hours. I'm just like, wow, we got a long ways to go back.
Yeah, yeah.
And
also, we should mention that there's three of us in the van as well.
Yeah, we also had our buddy Robert Zastry with us. He was recording the event, and he's going to turn it into a short documentary. So we're really thankful that he came along, and it was a very spontaneous thing for him. I'm pretty sure he agreed to do it like 2 days before.
Two days before he goes, yeah, sure, I'll come.
Free food
I was coming in with all these camera questions, right? I was like, Rob, what lens should I use? He's like, how do I do this? He's like, okay, fuck it, I'll just come with you.
So did he go to high school with you guys as well?
He did, yeah.
He did, cool,
yeah. Wow. Is he a runner too?
He's not a runner, no.
No.
He's really into film, so he's going to be going to film school.
Neat.
Anyway, I believe.
He's a rugby player too.
Cool.
He is, yeah.
Well, when that documentary gets finished, I'll include a link in the description.
Oh, wicked!
That would be amazing. Thank you so
absolutely.
much.
So yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so you bought the F-250, the red. It's a 1983 now. And you bought this in like October, early November.
I bought it in like November 10th or 12th or
wow.
something.
It was like a week before we left. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're bombing up to Port Hardy with your friend Zach as well. And November, what day did you leave Victoria? November
14th.
November 14th.
Yeah.
And you drove all the way to Port Hardy, like just straight, just one day.
Just straight one day. We actually left pretty late in the afternoon, and we were driving in the dark after Campbell River, and it's actually a pretty sketchy part of the highway after you. I went to Campbell River, and Jack was driving, so that was his experience there.
Yeah, I was paranoid of anyone driving my baby. But I came around to it. But no, oh god, I hate those north highways, man. They are. Yeah, I'm a Yukon boy. I'm used to nice, open, empty, Yukon highways. This thing was freaking ridiculous. It was, I don't know.
Any close calls? Any?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, despite the fact that we actually got in an accident.
That was on the way down, though.
That was on the way down, yeah.
Is that what happened? Because I read in the story there was an issue with the van. I thought so. You guys got in an accident on the way back to Victoria.
Yeah, yeah. We were basically we were waiting for Joe, and then Joe shows up and he's like, "Hey, I'm feeling good. I want to do another 2K." And I was like, "Okay, sure." So I drove up. And I see a logging road, so I slow down, I turn, and I indicate. I slow down, I indicate, and then I shoulder check, and this dude passes me, and then I go to turn, and then a car that had been trying to overtake me at the same time, I guess, was past me, and I just kind of nicked his front side, and he just freaking went into the ditch. It was it was really appalling. I don't know.
He was okay. That other driver.
They had to go to the hospital, but for the most part, they're doing okay though.
And sorry, was Joe? You said Joe just wanted to do another 2K, and you're talking about logging roads. Was he doing like some? Were you doing some running, Joe?
Yeah. So it was the second run of the day. So the way the run worked, we would run in the morning. We would start around 9 to 9:30, go for a 14K run, and then around 2 o'clock we'd start up again. So I was on my second run of the day. I just finished 12K, and I was feeling really good. We're getting close to Campbell River. We were going to stay a night in Campbell River and take a rest day. I really wanted to get there. So I'm like, hey, you know what? Feeling good. I'll do another 2K. So I'll hit 14K on my second run as well.
Wow.
And so I was finishing up my run, and I came around the corner, and I saw Pippi on the side of the road, and I saw a bunch of people kind of running around, and there was a lot of commotion going on. So I ran off the road, and I saw the truck in the ditch, and I was really confused at first. I had no clue what had happened, and I came up to Jack, and he explained, and kind of went from there. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No. I hope everyone was okay then. You guys are all right. You guys.
Yeah.
Okay,
Everyone involved was all right. Yeah.
okay. And some of these numbers are astonishing. Like, so you guys are. So Joe, are you doing most of the running here, or Jack? Are you guys splitting the 14K, or how's that working?
Split it 50-50. Yeah.
So we're doing 25K and we're doing 50K each day in total.
50K.
25K each day. Yeah.
And so you guys can individually run 25 kilometers in a day.
Yeah. I mean, my body didn't hold up as well as I wanted it to. I'd never done that much mileage. I am an 800-meter runner.
Right.
So for me, I did start adopting a little bit of an Achilles issue with that much mileage, but nonetheless, I still finished it off.
Wow.
But yeah, so we would split it up into two runs though. So usually a 12.5 in the morning, then a 12.5 at night. But we would surpass 50K a day.
Yeah,
we usually hit 56 to 60K sometimes. So
and I mean like the logic we were applying here was like, okay, so like on like a long distance hike or trek, that we could probably do consistently without getting injured, 25 kilometers a day of walking, and then possibly longer, if we're putting in longer days. So the logic we applied there was like, well, if we can do it when we're walking, and we take a break in the middle, we probably should be okay with it was a lot more science. I don't know. Yeah. That was it basically.
Jack, you mentioned an injury that you sustained while you're at university. Did that come into play at all? What sort of injury are we talking about?
Actually, it didn't, which was really surprising. No, it was a knee injury. It was a recurring knee injury. Yeah. So basically, it was just a really tight IT band issue.
Okay.
That basically resulted in the tendon dragging my kneecap over. So whenever I moved my leg, it was grinding.
Wow.
On the joint, and Joe actually got this on the run.
No way.
It's funny. I got the Achilles issue, and all the Achilles issue was just overuse.
Yeah.
And it started getting inflamed, but then about just under halfway, we'd past Campbell River, I started adopting a knee issue, which came to be an IT band issue, and that started really, really working up, and it is really painful. It's a sharp pain. Jack also knows. I had this in grade 9 once, and it's really not fun. But there's ways you can combat it. So one day, you'll see in the documentary, I was duct taping my kneecap and trying to shift it over so it wouldn't grind against the IT band. So there was a point where I did have to start walking my mileage, but I still was walking over 20K a day. It just became too much, and I didn't want to cause any permanent damage to my body. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is seriously hardcore. Like, I hope everyone listening once I post this, we're not live. Once I post this, I hope everyone listening is taking this in as well. Like duct tape and like moving kneecaps, shifting kneecaps.
It was hardcore.
Like, yeah. And wow. You guys you had me for a minute there when you started talking about 14K a day. And just in the morning, 50K a day between the two of you. I'm like, wow, I got to start running again. This is inspiring. And then you're talking about all these injuries, and it's like, oh, it's just, I've got enough injuries from soccer and stuff. It's just, I start off with old knee and joint pains. But what kind of surface are we like? Were you guys jogging on the shoulder or off to the side somewhere?
Yeah, Yeah,
well, that's actually where the injury came from.
Yeah, that's what we suspect. So pretty much we'd run on the shoulder, facing the traffic, so you could see the cars coming towards you. And we wear reflective vests and everything, so they could see us.
Wow.
But to avoid running on the cement, you could go a little bit further over, and it's usually going to be gravel or maybe some grass if you're lucky. But it was slightly slanted, especially in the North Island area. So I suspect that the slant is what hurt my Achilles.
Interesting.
I'm not sure about my knee. That's usually overuse, but I'm pretty sure that was part of it. So we try to go on the softer surfaces if we could, but if we couldn't, it'd be on the cement. But yeah, we'd run on the shoulder, facing the traffic.
What kind of footwear are you guys wearing? Any special footwear? Are you changing shoes?
HOKA Ones.
We both were wearing the HOKA One Clifton 7, I think it was. Yeah.
We were both rocking the Clifton 7.
Same exact pair of shoes.
Was HOKA One. If you hear this,
Well, all the runners will know what you're talking about. I have no idea. It went right over my head. So
it's just this giant block of a shoe. That's just like
pretty much.
It's just like a foam brick.
Surprisingly light though.
But
really?
Very light.
Yeah, and they're really, really soft, but they're also stiff soled, so they, help in the actual movement forward. Yeah, they're really good shoes.
They got a good spring to them.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Send me the details on that. I'll include a link for those as well in the description. This is essential information here, so this is good. And so footwear. Do you guys have an icing regime or some sort of thing that you do post run or in between?
Yeah,
I'll let you go, man.
Okay, yeah, for sure. As soon as I finish running, I would usually hop in the van and I eat right away. Jack and I both do this. We get protein in us right away. So
what kind of protein? Chocolate?
Yeah, chocolate milk. We usually go with chocolate milk. It was the easiest thing to get in us. Also, trail mix is good.
Right.
Cliff Bar is the protein. Jack doesn't like trail mix. That's more my thing.
or Cliff Bars.
Or Cliff Bar, something like that. But then after that, I'd usually either stretch or roll. So I have a stick roller and I have a foam roller. So it's actually quite a painful regime. So you got to press really hard into your muscles with this roller, and it essentially brings the blood to that area and helps with recovery. You could also do a deep tissue massage, which is something I was starting to do because of my pain. So I use my thumb and I press into tight areas, and you just have to press as hard as you can and grit your teeth. But it really does help. That is something that definitely helps.
I can't. Yeah. Wow. Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say I would just finish and I just kind of sit down and then stretch a little bit and not do anything for 4 to 6 hours, and then just roll out for 45 minutes to an hour, and then go to bed.
Wow. I can't picture many 19-year-olds doing this kind of thing. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's been a while since I've been 19, and I don't have any really 19-year-old friends, so I don't know what 19-year-olds are up to these days. But I just didn't think this is you guys are doing some serious stuff here.
Well, yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah, in high school with the team we were on, it was a very serious team, so it was actually kind of second nature. We did this throughout high school.
Wow.
We run 6 days a week. You get off school and you'd either go to practice or you go on your own run, which was either going to be 45 minutes to an hour. So it was really built into our system to take recovery seriously and running seriously. So yeah, something we were quite used to. Yeah.
Well, imagining for basic training with the Canadian Forces, this stuff translates pretty well. Were you how was those first 2 weeks at basic training?
Yeah, it was definitely a shock. It's a different world, that's for sure. The hardest part for me there, though, was getting up at 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
Yeah, you get up early, and the sleep deprivation really gets to you. So I definitely think it helped with this, just staying mentally strong. Right. I remember being at basic training and trying to stay awake, especially in class. They call it death by PowerPoint.
Uh-huh.
And you really gotta stay sharp. So I really do think basic, even just that 2 weeks has helped me with other things I've done in my life. Yeah.
That's good, man. Death by PowerPoint.
Yeah, that's what they call it, death by PowerPoint. You go stand at the back of the class if you're falling asleep. I was doing that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna say that sounds like I was gonna make a joke. That's what the college. Some college university classes are like that. But yeah, that's,
all of them are like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
All of them.
I was curious. Like, did you blow away some of the competition? Like in the 2 weeks that you were there, did you really get to do? Like, I've heard of people running flights of stairs at basic training. Like up and down, like like 50 times. Like, did you get to sort of like really show your stuff when you were there, or did it not really come up, your running ability?
Yeah, so the way it works at basic is you work as a team. So if I were to run ahead of my platoon, so a platoon has 60 people in, if I were to run ahead of them, I would probably get ripped into by one of the instructors.
Right.
So no, I'd actually stay with the slowest person usually and encourage them.
Nice, man.
Because I really don't need to prove that I can run fast to them, really. I just want to help my platoon mates. And that's really the main thing they're trying to teach you at basic. Be a team player, work with each other,
Awesome.
work as a team. So
that's really cool. I'm sorry you guys got cut short, but it sounds like this was all meant to be in another twist of fate. I don't know. It's crazy. I just ripped out of bed one day and told you flying home after 2 weeks, and then you're in a van heading up to Port Hardy. It's just wow.
Yeah, definitely took a change of events. Yeah.
So okay. So bringing back. So you're doing 50K a day. So you drive straight to Port Hardy from Victoria, and then you're gonna do the. So how many kilometers from Port Hardy to Victoria?
It's approximately 500 kilometers, but we had to run a little longer. So after the crash,
we're also bad at math.
It's 500K going down the main highway. That's the fastest route.
Right.
After the crash, though, I really like maps. I love maps. So I went on my computer and I mapped out a route that was going to be a lot safer than just running on the main highway. So we took the old island highway from Campbell River all the way to Nanaimo.
Wow.
And after Nanaimo, I just started rooting out old back roads, country roads on the side of the highway, so we didn't have to run on the main highway. So it did work out to be a little bit longer. I'd say probably 510K, maybe just 10K longer. So not the whole time.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jack, so you did all the driving, or?
No. So we switched on and off. Yeah. So we did. So we did one shift. So once Joe would run in the morning. Joe would run at 8 a.m. and then he'd finish at 9 a.m. Then I'd run from 9 to 10. And then we take a break from 10 to 2, and we do another set basically. So I'd go, and then Joe would go, and then we'd call it a day.
And then as for the driving, we would drive up the road. So pretty much, say if Jack was running, I would hop in the van, heat it up, and then I'd drive up the road, either 12.5K to 14K, find a safe place to pull over,
right,
and then wait for them. So when you're running, you'd have to keep your head up and make sure you don't miss the van, because sometimes you'd be parked in a little spot on the side of the highway, and if you missed them, that wouldn't be too good.
For sure.
So that's how we did it. Yeah.
Yeah, I always did that so many times.
Did you guys have communication, like walkie-talkies or cell phone or something, that in case you ran into trouble, or?
We didn't usually run with our cell phones. We didn't have walkie-talkies, but as we got into the southern island area, there was more navigational stuff. Because I mapped out this crazy route. You had to take some turns sometimes, so we did start running with a cell phone. When I was walking, I would walk with my cell phone as well.
I got lost and ended up running up towards Campbell River on the Trans-Canada.
Oh,
no. Oh, yeah. And I got lost once as well. I was running through Courtney, don't know the city, and I ran an extra 2K accidentally and got lost. So.
Wow. Well, it's all for a good cause. Wow. So, and I'm fascinated, too, by your times that you're putting up here. So I always stand by I was 12 years old, and I could do the 1,500 meters in, 6.5 minutes, which I thought was respectable, but I know it's not.
That was at 12 years old.
12 years old, yeah.
That's fast for a 12-year-old.
So
for a 12-year-old man,
yeah,
that's a good time.
What?
Well, I was dead after that, though, right? I was like, that was it. I wasn't running another 1,500 after that. So what kind of time? So the 14K, is that taking what's the standard block that you guys run in running culture, 10K, 5K? What are your times like?
Joe, you can go first if you want.
Yeah, for sure. So for a 14K, I mean, it was funny. The first run I did, I was feeling pretty good. I went a little bit quick on my first run, probably. You had to be conservative, obviously, because you're running a second run. So I was going at 5-minute Ks probably for my first run, but I was starting to get really slow, especially after my injury issues. So I was getting down to like 5:30s, 6-minute Ks, but I am originally an 800, 1500 meter guy.
Right.
So I definitely I like doing the speed stuff. But Jack, he was running pretty quick. I remember watching Jack run on the side of the highway as I was passing him. He was going at a pretty good clip. You can probably elaborate on that, Jack.
Yeah, tell me, Joe's like pretty respectable times, like the 8 and the 15 too, though.
Yeah, I run a 159 800 and a 408 1500 meter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then as for me, for the 14Ks, I don't know. I say like all my legs, which varied, between 12 to 14, were usually in the 75 to like 80-minute range. I tended to take my time on some, but then like this one afternoon, I don't know. Joe like finished, and then it was like getting dark, so I was like, okay, I'll do like 11K. And I just like did up the road. And I did it in like 45 minutes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you went really quick. You went really quick that night. Yeah.
But like, which like isn't particularly quick for like 11K, but like
after as much running as you're doing, that's fast. Yeah.
And it was like the second leg of the day too. But yeah, no, and like I don't know. Yeah, and as for like track times and stuff, I guess I'm kind of like historically, I'm better at like longer distances, like kind of 5K. I'd say, but like I ran like a 4-minute 1500.
Wow.
And then I did a 15-13 5K, 850 3K.
Wow. And for anyone listening,
sorry?
Oh, so for anyone listening, anyone in the running community, they're like, these numbers mean a lot to them, right? Like, I don't know, like, what's a good time for, say, a 3K or 5K, but these are some good numbers, obviously, because 1,500 meters in 4 minutes, that's definitely fast.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yeah. What was it? Yeah, because I was thinking, like, I know people train for like the TC 10K here in Victoria, like for like a year. And you guys just talk about doing like 10K, like it's just something you do after breakfast for fun. Like it's just, have you guys done any marathons? Do you guys do the TC 10K or anything?
No marathons. I think the longest distance I've actually ever ran in one go was only, I think, 23K.
Only, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, like my training was different than Jack's in high school. I'd go usually on a 30-minute to 45-minute run. He would go on longer runs.
Right.
But I did, my running career in high school was pretty topsy-turvy, though. I hit my peak in grade 10. That's when I ran that 408. Actually won the BC championship in the junior men's 1,500 meter that year.
Wow.
But then I hit a huge growth spurt. Over the summer, I gained like 15 pounds of muscle for some reason. I wasn't lifting weights or anything like that. It was just
you just got swole, Joe.
Just naturally, I don't know what happened. So I really slowed down in grade 11, and it's really starting to come back to me now. And I'm actually getting back into competitive running this spring.
Wow, so. Cool. Well, you guys are inspiring me to start running again. I mean, yeah, there's so many runners in our city here. It's just
it's a big running city. Yeah.
I got 2 kids, so it's hard.
It's a fun activity, man. It's good.
Yeah. No, it's great. Once my son's 3 right now, so once he's like 5 or so, we'll start doing some easy laps around the golf course or something. But
yeah.
No,
good stuff.
You should really get into cross country. It's a blast.
Cool, man.
It's a blast.
I remember cross country as an elementary student, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Only time I ever fell in a race, though. My very first running race I ever did, I fell. That's the only time I've ever fallen.
Wow. Did you get right back up and catch up, or?
I mean, I wasn't super fast back then. I think I probably came like 25th or something like that. But yeah, no, I got right back up, finished the race. But I do remember that race. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Living out here, like I grew up on the prairies, right, where it's winter. We had a lot of, actually, Saskatchewan has at the University of Saskatchewan, the Huskies, they take their cross country pretty seriously. And I went to school with some really good runners, and they got scholarships and stuff. And yeah, so there's definitely a big running culture in some parts of Canada, and I definitely noticed it out here.
Definitely.
Moving on, just because we're at the 45-minute mark now, and I know people are still dying to hear the rest of the story. So, yeah, I feel like I know a lot about you guys now, and just sort of where you're coming from. So the donations and stuff, some of the more practical parts of this fundraiser, is it like people e-transferred you money, or how did you, like, PayPal or cash on the road?
Yeah, Jack, you want to take that? Or?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no. So since the campaign is set up through GoFundMe as a platform,
Right.
GoFundMe has a feature where you can register a charity, like an actual registered charity. You can link it with your campaign.
Wow.
So whenever people donate to the campaign goal, the money just goes straight to the charity.
That's fantastic.
So none of we went. There's no middleman in the money. It was just going straight to them.
Wow. And do people receive tax receipts for their donations as well then from the charity, or do you know?
I am unaware of that.
Okay. I was curious if because that's an incentive for sometimes for people to donate is they get a tax receipt. So I was thinking, if you guys are just collecting in a jar on the side of the road kind of thing as you went through different towns, and then but if they're doing it online through GoFundMe, but I'll include a link for that as well. Do you guys still have the GoFundMe link?
Yeah, it's going to be open until well past the documentary circling.
Okay.
Yeah, I still have it up in my social media as well, and I'm going to keep it up there for a while and keep posting and try to keep getting people to donate and whatnot.
Fantastic. No, that's awesome. I'll definitely send me the link for that, please, after, and I'll include that as well.
For sure.
What has the response been from the One Up Parent Resource Center?
They were extremely happy. We met Sarah Downey at Mile Zero, where we finished up, and she came up to Jack and I could just see she was so thankful. And that moment, I really felt for the first time that we really made a difference.
Yeah, no, that was the exact same for me too. When we first saw Sarah, I was like, oh, okay, this is going somewhere.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of happy families that receive obviously the benefits of those donations as well.
Yeah, just in time for Christmas too. So yeah, really happy about that.
Exactly.
Wow. What Terry Fox? I read in the article as well that he's sort of a personal hero for you boys. Talking about the fancy footwear that we have nowadays, and I picture him on the side of a rainy highway. Cancer in his leg and a metal sort of leg, and the other. It's just the things that that he had to run through. Do you think is that he a source of inspiration for you? Are you guys thinking about stuff like that when you're running, or?
Definitely, that man is amazing. When I was younger, I have a book actually in my room. I'm actually looking at it right now about him. Yeah, that man is amazing. The grit he showed is just incredible. Honestly, like he ran a marathon a day, and we were only running 25K each a day, maybe a little more. And definitely such an inspiration.
And then he was missing a leg.
And he was missing a leg. Yeah, just add that on.
Missing a leg.
Yeah, no, it's incredible what that guy did. It really blows my mind, actually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was 1984. What was the year? 80. You guys remember? It was 80s anyway.
Yeah, it was early 80s. Yeah.
I just remember the footwear, like the technology for running and stuff. Like the footwear wasn't necessarily as fancy back then too. So I just remember watching video clips of them and just, I don't think those shoes were as comfortable as some of the stuff that runners can buy today. So and on the side of the highway.
Most definitely not.
Yeah, and I also love how he took the branding off his shoes as well. And I find that's something you can't really do as easy nowadays. They really got it on there. So.
Yeah, I think actually didn't Adidas come out with the Terry Fox shoe or something as well recently in the last couple of years?
I'm not actually too sure. I've never ran in a pair of Adidas, so I'm not too sure.
They I know they have been making replica models of the type that he's been wearing, but people just wear those for fashion, not for actual use.
Function, right? Yeah, no, he's a Canadian hero, and so I think that's a really great sort of piece to the story as well. Do you guys? Was gonna ask. Do you guys take part in the Terry Fox run, or do you raise money for that, or is that a tradition for you guys at all, or?
Throughout all the schools I went to growing up, we did a Terry Fox run in September every year. Right. I don't know about up north though, Jack. Did you guys have a Terry Fox run?
We did. It was literally the one occasion I had to compete. Yeah, no, it was great. I've done it my entire life. It's super fun. I love the Terry Fox run.
It's he's a Canadian hero. And so I think that's great that he's sort of like an inspiration for you guys. And I hope anyone else listening here, because he's again one of these folks from a time before that. Not all of us. He was born and died before. I was born in 1987. I don't even know if I think he passed away shortly after the run there. I don't know if so. I mean, like some of us have been born after he did his run, even, right? So I hope his story doesn't get lost. Like that's why it's important to have these conversations.
No, it lives on. Yeah, I hope it lives on for sure.
Last question, I guess, for you guys, and then it's back to you to sort of. Sorry, I didn't give you guys a lot of chance. I was just so excited to chat with you guys, and I want to know who you are. Who are these two guys who did this amazing thing? Last question for me would be your parents. What were their thoughts about you guys doing this, and were there any fears on their part, or were they fully encouraging, or was it sort of just that's just Jack and Joe doing their thing, and
yeah. Jack, you want to go first one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, that was very much the reaction. It's just Jack and Joe going off doing this. I mean, obviously they showed a lot of support and were involved, but yeah, Joe, what were you saying?
My mom was ecstatic. My mom was, for the both of us, and Susie she was worried as well though. My mom gets worried about things like this, but we had to get a wrap job after the crash, and she helped with that. So
she was
really thankful for that.
She was she definitely showed enough enthusiasm to make up for my family. No. They're great though. Yeah, no, my mom was she was, I think it made her kind of smile a bit, just smirk, so that was good of her. And my dad was, my dad, he's a proud guy. So I think it made him happy to see me kind of out there doing something. But I mean, like I said, they're just kind of, I don't know. I think they're kind of used to my hijinks a bit now, so they're just being like, okay, he's gonna do his thing. We'll be there to help him through it.
Well, I mean, this is like, to use your word hijinks, this is hijinks for good. This is like, I mean, I think, any parent should be proud and would be proud of this. This is, yeah. And I always think, as you guys are talking about, I'm a parent myself, to run along the side of the highway, and especially as you get up north of the island there, and just, oh man, cars blowing by you because you're running against traffic. Oh man,
the logging trucks are crazy. Ooh.
Dude, what is up with the way people drive? Like, Jesus Christ. Holy.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it was a safe run for you guys, and so you're back in Victoria now. What's the story for the van now? What's the fate for the van? Was it okay after the accident, or was it pretty damaged, or?
No, it was pretty okay. It had some wiring issues afterwards.
Right.
One of them was which it wasn't starting, but we got it to mechanic and they fixed it up. So that was really good of them.
And are you planning to live in the van now or temporarily?
Yeah, that's the goal. That was I'm living in it. I've been kind of recovering out at my grandmother's, which is really nice. But obviously you can't stay here forever. I'll be heading back out in Pippi.
What does the next 6 months look like for you guys? What are your plans? Sort of 3 to 6 months.
As for me, I'm looking to get a job right now, probably landscaping, something physical. I like working outside and I like working with my hands. So I'm going to be working, and my old coach, Bruce Deacon, phoned me up and he gave me the opportunity to be a guide runner for a para-athlete from Ottawa. He's visually impaired and needs a guide runner, and he's training for the Tokyo 2021 Olympics.
Oh, neat.
So I'm going to be guiding for him.
Wow.
So I'll be training pretty hard all the way through to September. So.
Wow, that's fantastic. And Jack?
I'm just well, Adrian, if this year's taught me anything, it's that you should never plan more than 2 months in advance.
Amen.
Honestly, I just I have a lot of plans, but a lot of them bank on kind of travel, so I can't really. I'm just kind of waiting for the borders to open up for that to happen. So kind of in the meantime, I just plan to I just want to keep writing, keep making art. Live in Pippi by the seaside. Keep running. Like I said, I have a lot of plans. I'm supposed to be walking to Banff in April. which should be fun.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's and then I don't know. Yeah, like my auntie called me up 2 or 3 days ago. She's putting a team together to hike from Dawson City, my hometown, to Braeburn, which is roughly 500 kilometers away, in February. And she was like, Jack, do you want to come do this with me? And I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe. And it's just like,
I'll think about it.
I got a lot of stuff. I got a lot of plans, but I'm kind of a last minute sort of guy, so I don't really settle on things. But in the meantime, just sit back, enjoy life, and write.
Awesome, man. Well, you know what? I'm leaving this conversation feeling very impressed and hopeful about the future, and with guys like you sort of taking the torch there, and that's really cool. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks a lot, Adrian.
Thanks for having us on here as well, Adrian. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, where can we find this?
So you can find me on YouTube. The channel name is Victoria BC Talks.
Okay, great.
And the website is www.victoriabctalks.com. And
definitely check it out.
So
I'll definitely check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and please do, after this conversation, let's just hang on the line, and I'll get some the links from you. You can send me those, and I'll put those in the description when I post the episode here.
Okay, yeah.
Sounds good. Perfect.
Fantastic.